Hello, everyone. Welcome. Hello. Okay, so this is Mehi, Product Growth Specialist at Userpilot. Thank you for your interest on the user activation webinar. In this webinar, I'm going to provide actionable step-by-step blueprint. I hope you guys enjoy it. So let's start. Okay, so what we're going to discuss today is defining what is user activation for SaaS, why it's important, how to measure it, and how to improve user activation for your product, providing 8 steps, actionable 8 steps for you to activate your users. And finally, we're going to have like questions, if you have any questions at the end. So let's start. First, how do we define user activation? Activation is that moment when your users perform key actions, key events in your product that allow them to experience the value of your product in their user case. So each product targeting different personas and different value, you have to define what's the value for your product for each persona for your users. Yeah, so this is the graph that explains it all. You have the initial aha, the feature adoption, and then secondary feature adoption, and so on. And then your users become promoters for your product. Right? So what's the difference between the aha moment and user activation? The aha moment, we can say aha moment is when your user says, wow, this product provides this one. It's realizing the value of your product. But we say user activation is when your user actually experiences this value. We're going to have like 2 examples to explain it more. Rhea is a product manager who's searching for a solution to increase her user activation for her SaaS. Yeah. So Rhea goes online, Google a solution for activating my users, and she finds Userpilot. She finds that Userpilot is providing a personalized in-app experiences with no coding. Here, Rhea is realizing, aha moment, wow, there's a solution that can help me provide in-app experience with no coding, right? After that, Rhea decides to sign up and create her first onboarding experience. Here we can say this is the activation. She is activated. Yeah, so aha moment is the moment your customer realizes that your product is valuable, it's going to provide a value for them, and activation is actually when the moment your customer experiences the value first thing. Another example here is example for Adam.ai. It's a meeting management software. I was previously working at Adam.ai, by the way. So here's another example. So John is a project manager. He's looking for a solution to manage his meetings and invite team members all in one place. While searching, found Adam.ai and realized, wow, that's a solution that I can create meetings, manage my tasks, invite the team members, and track the tasks for my team. When he sign up and create his first meeting, invite his first team members, here's when he is really activated. So why is user activation actually important? Why is it that important to activate your users? So basically saying that if your users are not activated, they will not return back to your solution and they will not use it. So of course it's very important. Also, a 25% increase in user activation brings about a 34% increase in monthly revenue over a year. This is based on the current metrics activation. It says that activation had the biggest impact on the MRR in 12 months. If you look with me at this table, Yeah, what's the biggest number? The biggest impact on all is activation. So what's the impact of activation revenue in SaaS? From the table here, if you see 25% acquisition turns to 34% activation, this factor means it's 1.34 times more compared to, for example, revenue. And it's 0.3 more increase more than the referrals. So the biggest impact here, the biggest value is in activation. And of course, if the user is not activated, it will have nothing to return to your software, right? Okay, let's jump into the 8 steps checklist on how to improve user activation, how to make it happen. Yeah. So first, you have to define the activation point and the key actions for your product. So each product is different. Each software solution is different. You need to define what are the key actions, what's the jobs to be done for different personas you have for your product. And always make sure to measure it. So as Peter Drucker used to say, what gets measured gets managed. So obviously, if you didn't measure what you're doing, you can't have the opportunity to improve it. Yeah. So here we say to improve the activation of your users, you have to define and measure the activation points. So how to define the user activation points? Here are 3 steps on how to define the activation point. First, you need to begin with your personas, define each persona for your solution, the job to be done for each of them, track their performance, and remove any unnecessary steps. Why you need to do that? Why you need to define the job to be done for each persona? Because the jobs here, the job to be done here helps you clarify the end user's goal, the reason why they are interested in purchasing your product, of course, and the outcome they are looking for and the value they are looking to get from your product. Okay, an example here is a social media scheduling tool. If you wanted to understand what are the steps and the key actions for them to do is basically connect the social media accounts, create the first post, schedule the post, and then finally publish the post, right? So let's see here an example for a product with different personas and how you define the actions for each of them. First, the example is Adam.ai. As we explained before, Adam is a meeting management tool for teams to run effective meetings. We have 2 personas. You can be a project manager who's looking for a tool to invite your team members and schedule meetings. And you could be the team member who's being invited. So the actions here added is, as a project manager, your action is invite the team members, schedule your meeting, and add the meeting agenda items, right? For the team member, the job to be done here is totally different. He's coming to the solution because he's being invited. He's checking what are his upcoming meetings, what are the agenda items, and he can also suggest agenda item and obviously manage his tasks. Okay, the second step, after we define the jobs to be done, we need to make sure to know how to measure the user activation. So basically, to measure the user activation, it's determining the number of users who reach this activation point that you set up and created, divided by the number of users who actually signed up for your product and multiply them by 100. Here you get the activation rate. Okay, if we want to mention the activation benchmarks for SaaS products, unfortunately, there is no benchmark for this because, as we said, there are so many user personas, so many actions, so many different steps for each product. So we can't come up with an activation benchmark. Yeah, so each product is different with different personas. What best here to do is define your activation and compare it over time to see what's missing and how can you improve it based to your own product. Yeah. Okay. So the third step here is using welcome screens and also using microsurveys to personalize onboarding. So I added here two examples. One example from Slack and one example from Positivity. Positivity is a is a social management tool. Slack is using a welcome screen that just say, hey, welcome. Slack is a messaging app for teams. Explore Slack, yeah? Positivity here uses the same welcome screen, but adding to it is a micro-survey. Positivity here, what it's trying to do is understanding the user, understand what the user, who is the user, and what he's trying to achieve using the tool, and then segment the users, add different segments, and start providing personalized onboarding for each user. The example here says, who are you? Are you an individual? It could be another question. It could be, what brought you here? Are you doing it for a business or doing it for a personal purpose? So after that, you'll be able to segment the users and provide personalized onboarding and also contextual onboarding. When we say contextual, it ensures that you give users the real-time information on the different product features that you have that are most relevant to them when they need them. Yeah. So when I go to a specific step and I need help, to start providing that help at that time. Okay, so step number 4 is to use in-app checklists. Actually, this one is my favorite. I love it, and it's very interactive, and I feel like each software product has to have its checklists, right? So checklists are a form of in-app messaging. They are great to steer users to the activation point. You can add to the checklist like the progress bar to show users how much left for them to complete their checklist. And also you can provide rewards, like here in Positivity, they added get 50% off. Yeah, complete the steps to get a 50% off reward when you upgrade. Yeah. Another example is Loom. You see, this is another example to show you how the jobs to be done are different from one product to another. Here it says create your account, download Loom, record the video, share the video. So it shows you the steps, and automatically when you do this step, it marks done for them. Fifth step we have is the creating interactive walkthroughs to help users perform key actions. So you can also provide users with like actionable interactive walkthroughs on what to do next to help them to activate. An example here I added also is Adam.ai. Inside Adam, there is a meeting room that has like different sections, the agenda section, the tasks, attendees. So the walkthrough that I like Adam.ai creating this interactive walkthrough, it shows that for you to start a meeting, you have to first create your agenda, right? So it shows you here, you can add your agenda item. You can also add sub-agendas. You can add time, set time for this agenda item, right? Next, after adding the agenda, it shows you, yeah, here you can add actions. You can add voting for some items during the meeting. So it walks you throughout all the meeting room to help you understand the purpose and activate you to start your meeting. Another example is Userpilot. When you sign up Userpilot, the first step is asking you, hey, welcome, of course, and you can install the builder now. And then it goes to the second step, which is build your first flow, create the flow, and add your website or where you want to build the flow on. Okay. The step number 6 is using onboarding gamification. So yeah, onboarding gamification is the fun elements that you can provide your users to help them go and proceed to the next step and next step and next step. Yeah, it could be rewards, it could be like a leaderboard. Here is an example for Facebook that is congratulating a user for being a conversation starter. Yeah, you can, by the way, you can add gamification without going back and forth with the engineering team. This can easily be done through Userpilot. I love also this one. It makes it very interesting to try different things in the app. Step number 7 is offer in-app support. So actually, even with all the segmentation, the checklist, the interactive walkthroughs that we mentioned, some of your users may still not activate, and some of them may still need support and help, yeah? Especially if your product is a little bit complicated or has a lot of features maybe. So you can also provide in-app support with a lot of things, all in-app, like how to get started, the tutorials, get access to an academy, the access to webinars that you did before, get access to what's new in the product. This is an example from Miro that provides an in-app support. They call it Learn and Inspire, that provides a lot of, resources and help center for people to help them get through what they are needing, search for specific keywords, and also they can provide like specific help resources and documents based on which step the user is at on the checklist, or which page they are actually there. So all in app. Even if they are going to watch a video, they don't have to be directed to YouTube or some resources, outside resources like or website. It can all happen inside the app. The last step is use email to bring users back. So email is what if your users are not logging in or going into the app anymore, and they didn't complete the checklist walkthrough? Yeah, you can easily follow up with them with the emails, right? It works parallel to your in-app engagement efforts, of course, but through emails to bring them back and remind them to where they were stopping and to remind them to continue the checklist. We have a very nice example here from Adam with AI also. It's the first email when a new user signs up for Adam, it sends them an email to help them. Hey, there is a 3-minute video that can help you get started. Get started with the help center here and different resources. They even offered scheduling a call with some of the customer success team maybe to help them understand the product and start their meetings. Another example that I also added here for Active Campaign, these are all the email sequences that are used through Active Campaign to activate the users. You see how many emails, and you see the first one, your trial has about 5 days to end, or it's ended. So it tracks, you can easily track the user and track which step he's at, and provide Userpilot can provide a permanent to follow up with the users where they were on the app. Okay, so these are the 8 steps mentioned so far. Let's recap. Defining the activation point and the key actions to be done. This is the first step that you need to add and start with. Second is to measure the user activation rate. Third is the welcome screens, and also adding micro surveys on the welcome screen. Could be 1 question, 2 or 3. Create in-app checklists, create interactive walkthroughs, use onboarding gamification, it's a bonus step, and offer in-app support, and also the emails to bring users back. I know I was too quick, but I hope you liked the presentation and the steps. Tell me now on the chat, which step do you like the most? Which checklist of the 8 checklists I mentioned you like to implement first? And please let me know if you have any questions, anything wasn't clear on the presentation. I'd love to have your questions now. By the way, at the end of the webinar, I'm going to share with you through email a guide with all these steps that I mentioned. So you have like a step-by-step reference to go back to when you need and start implementing it. Also, I'd like to mention that Userpilot is a product growth platform that lets you create attractive user adoption experiences without any coding, without getting back to the engineering team. You can easily create checklists, onboarding interactive walkthroughs, create in-app support, all what we have mentioned before using Userpilot. And what's really interesting is that you don't have to go back and forth with the engineering team to make you activate your users. Okay, so I've also added here my email and my LinkedIn profile if you'd like to reach out to me. Thank you so much. And please, if you have any questions after that, you can email me anytime, send me, and I'd love to discuss with you your experiences and activation for your product. Have a great day. Bye.